Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about how to glow from the inside out. And today I want to share with you some reviews of K-Beauty retinoids that I think are great for beginners or for sensitive skin, because K-Beauty really is the place that you want to be if you are starting off with, more potent actives like retinoids, because they are going to use gentler, more skin-friendly concentrations that are going to be a great way to kick off that journey for yourself. But it's also a great place to look for when you have sensitive skin and you can't tolerate and handle those higher percentage aggressive active formulas. So today I want to share with you 3 reviews of products that I think are worth it, that I think show really great results for acne prone skin, texture brightening, and those well-aging collagen stimulating concerns. So if you're so ready to start the video, give it a big thumbs up. And hey, if you're new here, anytime throughout the video, if you want to see some more from me, if you're liking these reviews, definitely hit subscribe and come join our skincare community, especially if you like all the things I'm talking about: K-Beauty, gentle products, and sensitive skin. That's what my channel is all about. All right, play my intro and let's get started. So, good old classic retinol, the one we're probably the most familiar with. Now, this is an ingredient that actually has to convert on the skin in 2 steps in order to become its active form, where we're getting all of those benefits that I just listed, and that is retinoic acid. So, it actually converts from retinol to retinaldehyde to retinoic acid. Now, retinaldehyde, that middle ingredient or step that I just talked about, this is also an ingredient that you can get in over-the-counter skincare products. Sometimes it's stylized as retinol, spelled with an N-A-L, not N-O-L. And so retinaldehyde actually only takes that one conversion step into retinoic acid. And so that actually makes it a little bit more potent, perhaps maybe even a little bit more effective. And the thing is with the conversion steps too, sometimes multiple conversion steps to create that active form within the skin can actually cause some irritation. And so while retinaldehyde is more potent, it may actually be gentler for folks who are sensitive to that conversion within the skin. Now, a new novel retinoid that we're going to talk about in today's video is HPR. Now, this is an interesting retinoid because it actually doesn't need to convert on the skin to its active form. It's already active. And this is beneficial for a couple of reasons. Of course, we're talking about something that is going to be potent and effective for the skin, right, without as many conversion steps. But it's also something that when we're skipping out that conversion, it may cut down on irritation for sensitive folks. It's also a little bit more of a stable form of retinoid, so it's something that is easier to formulate with. It's going to create a formula that lasts longer after you open the bottle. This is important, right? We want our active ingredients to stay active, so when we put them on our skin, they actually do what they intend to do. And so this one is emerging. It's newer, but it definitely is promising, not only for formulation, right, but also for folks looking for benefits for sensitive skin. So let's talk about the KSECRET Seoul 1988 Retinal Liposome 2% plus Black Ginseng Serum. So this is a retinaldehyde based serum, and it contains 2% of retinal liposome. Now, this is not 2% of retinaldehyde. It's actually 0.02% of retinaldehyde that is encapsulated in the liposomes, and that's 2% of those liposomes. So I know that that's kind of confusing, but that is the percentage of the active retinoid here, 0.02%, which is like a pretty good, like, in between. It's not super low, it's not super high either, and it's actually a really great place to start off your retinoid journey. And it being encapsulated helps with the effectiveness. It helps to keep the formula stable and shelf stable and active to the end of the serum bottle, right? But it also helps it to deliver into your skin, and it also helps to sort of soften that conversion process in the skin. So that is actually going to make it a little bit more tolerated by folks who are a little bit more sensitive, who are a little bit more prone to irritation from potent actives like retinaldehyde. The formula also contains ginseng, as the name suggests. Now, ginseng is a great well-aging ingredient. It is a potent antioxidant that helps to protect our skin from the damage that speeds up the aging process within the skin. It's also something that helps to aid skin elasticity, and it can also give your overall complexion a boost. They're also using niacinamide, brightening ingredient, also helps to strengthen the skin barrier as well. And they're also using 3-O-ethyl ascorbic acid. This is a stabilized form of vitamin C, and it brings some brightening benefits to the formula, as well as some bakuchiol. Now, you know that this is often touted as a plant-based retinol alternative. It is not a retinoid. Like, it's not even in the same class as retinol, retinaldehyde, HPR. It's not in that class at all. It's just like kind of like a marketing sort of like term that people use to kind of liken similar benefits that you can get with bakuchiol that you could get with retinol. It might stimulate collagen. It's definitely a brightening ingredient for sure, and it may have some benefits for acne prone skin. So the texture is a really light emulsion like texture. It does look creamy when you pump it out of the bottle, but as you spread it, you'll see it's a lot thinner than it first appears. It actually has like a very light hydrating, sort of almost like a watery type of feel to it that sinks really quickly into the skin. And then on top of your skin, you will feel some of that creaminess from the emulsion, right? That's like kind of that water and creamy element together. So you do get a little light moisturization and some skin softening on top of your skin, but it actually sinks in really nicely. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel greasy or like really overwhelming. This is something that would work well with really, I think, any skincare routine and with any skin type. What I noticed with this one, now I do want to make this clear for anybody who maybe is newer to my channel. For these reviews, it is important for you to understand I do use retinaldehyde very frequently throughout my weekly skincare routine, but not these products. I actually use a higher concentration and a little bit of a harder hitting formula, and that's because I've been doing this for years. And so while I do have sensitive skin, I have worked myself up throughout the years. I actually used to even use tretinoin and then stepped down, which is, you know, notoriously aggressive on the skin, right? And so I want you to know that as I tested these products, they were complementary to something that was a little bit more of an aggressive retinaldehyde routine that I do have. That being said, though, I do still feel like this is a really great product that shows some nice results. I actually tested it out on some congestion that I had on my chest, which is notoriously sensitive to actives. If I put too much on or too strong a concentration, I will go red, I will get hives, I will get itchy and very irritated very quickly. The skin is very different than this skin. And it actually helped to gently clear up some of the congestion that I was getting. Not only did it help to clear some of that up, texture, bumpiness, right, and clogged pores, it actually helped with some hyperpigmentation that I had from previous clogged pores that did get inflamed and then caused the dark mark on my skin. So what I really noticed with this, yeah, very gentle texture refinement, definitely great if you have some clogged pores, some congestion, but particularly good for brightening. You know, it's not just about the retinaldehyde in here, it's those additional brightening actives that really do help if you are struggling with hyperpigmentation, dark marks. But I think this is also, as I mentioned, a pretty good formula if you have some mild texture that you're looking to work on with your skin, while also, you know, wanting to stimulate that collagen, start that well-aging journey. So let's talk about the Dr. Reju-All Advanced Retino-Mela Serum. Now, this is interesting because this is a serum that is using that new novel HPR. That is a new generation of retinoid. And if you recall from the top of the video, that is the retinoid that does not have to convert on the skin. It's actually already in its active form, and cutting down on that conversion means that we're cutting down on some potential irritation for sensitive folks. So they're using 0.1% of HPR, and that is going to give us all those retinoid benefits that we are well familiar with. But you know, it's not just about the retinoid that is in this product, it's about the other actives coming together. They are using 10% of niacinamide. So as I already covered, niacinamide, you know, brightening ingredient, it actually is great and strengthening for your skin barrier, particularly good if you do have sensitive skin. You do want something that is going to help with your skin barrier because retinoids can be kind of aggressive and can kind of test the strength of our skin barrier. Now at 10%, That really unlocks niacinamide's benefits for helping to refine texture. And niacinamide itself is also, 5% and above is actually great for collagen stimulation as well. And I have found in my personal skincare adventures that around that 10% mark with niacinamide, it really unlocks texture refinement, pore minimizing effects, as well as sebum control with niacinamide, as well as the brightening, collagen stimulation, and all of that. So if you're particularly struggling with enlarged pores, or really stretched out pores, or very uneven, bumpy texture, this could be the edge. This serum could have the edge for your particular skin needs that would really be perfect for this particular situation. Now, they're also using 4% of tranexamic acid, and as the name suggests, Mela, they really have formulated this to target hyperpigmentation or dark marks on the skin, and that's what tranexamic acid can do, and this is a pretty good amount, 4%. And then they're also using 0.5% of alpha bisabolol. Now, this is a soothing ingredient, it's anti-inflammatory, but it's also something that can help to inhibit the melanin process on the skin after inflammatory events occur. Now, as I was mentioning, before, sometimes when I get inflamed pimples, what I'm left with is a dark mark, and that can happen on certain skin tones. And so this formula is definitely brightening the skin, but they're thinking at it from a lot of different angles. So the texture is a gel-like texture. As you spread it across your skin, it will start to thin out. It's not really like a heavy, sticky type of gel, and it does absorb in the skin quite nicely in a nice thin layer. Because it doesn't have as much of that creamy type of element like the KSECRET Seoul 1988 serum, you're not going to feel as much of that moisturization at the top of your skin. And this thinner gel, like I really almost feel like it's like a treatment gel, quite honestly. This thinner gel-like consistency is going to make it perfect for oily skin, but it's also going to work for dry skin types as well. Now, this one does feel a little bit more potent than the KSECRET serum does, and I think it is the combination of the HPR with the 10% of niacinamide. So I do want to mention that 10%, as I said, really good for oily folks, really great for folks who are struggling with enlarged pores. I have used 10% niacinamide serums particularly to address issues on my nose, and that's where I noticed some of the best benefits with this serum is I had some really rough, bumpy texture right on my nose. Part of it was definitely from some blackheads, but some of it was also just like congested pores as well. And I think I just had like a really awkward transition this year from my summer combo skin, which is much more oily in that T-zone, particularly causing the issues on my nose, to my combo skin kind of drying out just a little bit in the colder temperatures. I produce a lot less oil. I still have a little bit, but not nearly as much as I do in the summer. And I felt particularly oily this summer for some reason. And I didn't feel like I was drying out as quickly as I normally do this year, but all of a sudden, like overnight, my whole T-zone was just really rough feeling. Like the actual quality of my skin under my fingers felt rough. And I'm looking at my skin, I'm like, maybe there are some like really, really minor congestion, but not like very obvious clogged pores, right? And nothing that's getting inflamed or anything like that. I'm not seeing excessive oil, but just the skin itself feels rough. And then especially around my nose, I was seeing a lot of the blackheads on the top of my nose especially. And so, as I've mentioned, 10% of niacinamide is particularly good for texture, enlarged pores, and that kind of thing. And so that's where I noticed the biggest benefit adding this into my routine. So everything else, I do use a more potent retinaldehyde product for sure. But adding this in on some of the off nights, sort of rotating with this, that 10%, and I think the HPR as well, just kind of gave me that extra edge that helped to smooth out that weird, rough, almost sandpapery like texture that I was having on my skin for some unexplainable reason. It really did help. Now, 10% of niacinamide is a pretty potent amount, and some folks can be sensitive to this. So I think that's part of the reason why I think this is a bit more potent than the KSECRET serum is. It's that 10% of niacinamide. That doesn't mean that it's inappropriate for sensitive skin, but it does mean proceed with caution because some folks are much more sensitive sensitive to niacinamide generally than other folks are. And some people are very sensitive to higher percentages, like above 5%, where it can start to cause some sensitivity issues. So this one, I am recommending it for sensitive skin with reservations, right? Know yourself. You're the genius of your skin, right? So you know these things about yourself. And if you haven't discovered that for yourself yet, you haven't used 10% of niacinamide, just proceed with caution, right? Start off with this like 1 or 2 times a week. See how your skin does, and then slowly, gradually increase the application, knowing that you don't have to put this on every single night in order to get results. And by the way, this advice would go for any of the serums that I'm talking about in today's video, or any retinoid or aggressive active that you want to use in your skincare routine. Don't feel that you are failing if you're not putting it on every night in your skincare routine. You don't need to do it every night to see results. You just have to do it consistently. And consistency could look like 3 times a week. It could look like 2 times a week. It could look like 4. It doesn't have to be 7. So take that pressure off of yourself. Go low, go slow. The KSECRET's great for brightening overall, but I do feel like this one from Dr. Reju-All just kind of targets that just slightly better. I did have a hyperpigmentation mark on my cheek that I do feel like, from a pimple, that I do feel like faded away a little bit faster than it normally does with my established skincare routine. So that's really where this one lies, is really with the brightening and definitely with texture. And I think particularly for oily folks, because you're going to get some of that sebum control with the niacinamide plus the HPR. If you're interested in trying out this newer retinoid, I do think that my skin accepted this very, very nicely. I do think that it is still working pretty effectively on the retinoid front too. And I think it would be a good one if you are looking to incorporate the well aging and the collagen stimulation, but you've got some serious texture concerns too, as well as brightening. This is a great formula for you. So we have to talk about Beauty of Joseon Revive Eye Serum Ginseng plus Retinol. Now this is an old favorite of mine. This is going to be great to get the collagen stimulating benefits, the firming, the help with the fine lines and the wrinkles, and the preventative care for that really delicate skin around your eyes. Have you used retinol products that were designed for your face? Have you gotten a little bit of irritation underneath your eye, or maybe you put it on top of your eye and you're like, that was a mistake? This product is designed to help solve those issues, because much as, like I was saying before, neck and chest act very differently than the skin on your face, right? Well, the skin around your eyes is a little bit thinner. There's less oil glands there. And so that skin can actually be a lot more delicate and a lot more sensitive. Even if the rest of your face isn't particularly sensitive, around your eyes likely could be. But you might still want some of the collagen stimulating benefits. And so that's what this has been formulated to do. It has been formulated for very sensitive, delicate skin. So they're using the 2% retinaldehyde liposome. So this is much like we talked about with KSECRET. That's not 2% of retinaldehyde. It is 0.02% of retinaldehyde in 2% liposomes. This also contains 10% of ginseng. This is something, again, that is going to help with antioxidant care. It is something that helps with elasticity in the skin, and it's something that can give a brightening and just an overall brightness to the skin. That can be particularly helpful if you got some discoloration under the eyes. They're also using niacinamide. Not 10%. This is more of like the brightening concentration for niacinamide, as well as the barrier strengthening concentration. They don't disclose the amount, but based on where it is in the ingredients list, it's probably about 2%, which is a good amount for the two things that I just said. And then they are also using some ceramide NP. We have cholesterol as well as fatty acid content coming from ingredients like the macadamia seed oil in the formula. These three are crucial for skin barrier health and strength. And that is particularly helpful. As I mentioned earlier, you want to keep your barrier strong when you're using aggressive actives, right? This is going to start to become even more increasingly important for areas like the skin around the eyes, because it is so delicate and sensitive. And this is what's going to help your skin accept that more potent retinaldehyde in this formula. So that's how it all kind of comes together. Because it is an eye serum, we do have this little bit more targeted pump here in this really nice light gel-like consistency. This isn't your old traditional like heavy dense eye cream. This has a lighter gel-like consistency, so it actually absorbs in the skin really nicely. It does have a bit of hydration to it, so there is a tiny bit of plumping, not a lot, but just a little bit. Sinks in the skin really nicely without any residue greasiness at the surface. So it's not going to overwhelm the area or make it feel like your eyelids are all greasy. A little bit of something to note here. In my personal experience, I do have sensitive skin all over my face, and my eye area can be particularly sensitive. I have no problems tolerating this under the eye area, and then even in the corner, the upper corners here around my, wherever they say crow's feet, right? I can tolerate the serum pretty well right here. And as I said, I have been using this for many years now at this point. For whatever reason, and this isn't just unique to me, this is just some folks have very sensitive upper eyelids. I cannot put it on my upper eyelids. Some folks can, some folks can't. So just something to be aware of if you're new to this type of product. If you don't know this information about yourself, try it out, but be aware that you could feel some irritation, some slight, inflammation, some redness, some kind of itchiness with that. Just discontinue the use on the lids, just use under the eye, see how that goes for you. What's really great about this that makes it unique from different just generally eye cream products is that they're giving you 30 milliliter of product. That's pretty big for an eye cream. That's actually the size of a serum. All the serums we talked about today are 30 milliliter. And so that actually makes this definitely a very gentle retinaldehyde product for the eye area, economical, good value, it's going to last you a while. But this is actually something that was designed to be used all over your face as well, especially for beginners, especially for sensitive skin. It's first and foremost developed for the eye area, which is very delicate and sensitive. So you could use this as a beginner retinaldehyde product. This really nice lightweight formula, instead of, like I said, that traditionally dense cream, the lightweight formula is going to make it work for a majority of skin types, and really it's going to layer in nicely with your skincare routine. How I personally like to use this in addition to for the eye area is actually neck and chest, as I mentioned earlier. These gentler products just do not cause the type of itchy, irritation, redness, and even potentially like flaking if it gets really bad, right? That other retinoid-based products, especially the more aggressive formulas, can give you. This is also another one if you wanted to just do something like around the mouth or around the nose and use more aggressive products, other places. This is also appropriate for that type of application as well. So have you used any of these products? Let us all know in the comments below, or if you have a gentle beginner retinoid-based product that you love, let us all know your recommendations. Now, if the video helped you out and you haven't hit subscribe yet, please, I'd be so honored if you'd come join our skincare community and turn on notifications so you're never out of the loop. I'm very active here on YouTube every single week. I love you so much. Thanks for being here with me today. And I just want to encourage you to keep shining your light. I love you, and I can't wait to talk to you in the next video. Bye.